안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있습니다. 운동하겠습니다. 오늘도 날씨가 좋아요. 어제 운동 대충 하고 일요일도 운동 대충 했어요. 오늘은 화요일인데 이틀 정도 쉬었다고 생각을 하니까 그나마 좀 몸이 좀 가벼워졌습니다. 그래서 오늘은 지금이 오전 11시인데 운동을 30분 꽉꽉 채워서 하고요. 팔굽혀펴기랑 복근 운동을 위주로 할 거고요. 그 다음에 오후에는 턱걸이랑 스쿼트를 꼭 하겠습니다. 영상을 2개 찍어서 올려볼까요 한번? 1탄, 2탄. 그러고 싶진 않네요. 일단 운동하겠습니다. 역시 운동할 땐 CNN이죠. 우리 쿠오모 형님이 요즘 이렇게 수염을 기르는지 모르겠어.
I love you, D-Lemon. You too, my brother. I'll see him. What is that thing on your face? Come on, get a raise. Shut up. Yeah, see him. You shut up. Goodbye. You shut up. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon.
미국에서 shut up.
We normally start off with, oh my gosh, look at this, right? I just want to show you something as we get started here. Maybe these are the crowd shots that people should be focused on tonight. Check out these lines. These are people waiting to vote in Georgia today. Look at these lines. Hours and hours and hours in lines. That's how much it means to them to cast their vote in this election. That's how important this election is. We don't know who they're voting for, but it gives you an idea of where they are, about how it may turn out. But we know it means enough to them that it's worth it to be heard. It's only 22 days until the election, 22 days until election day, and the President Trump, is on stage playing a part, and it's not as convincing or as compelling as he thinks it is. Nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the deadly pandemic raging through the country. You know what he is? He's a serial recidivist, a repeat offender, reckless. It's never going to change. Never, ever, ever going to change. And the people at his rally tonight aren't going to change. Even though some of them tell us that they would, they'd change their behavior, they'd wear a mask if he told them to. But he doesn't, so they won't. Talk about it. The Trump folks are always talking about sheep. So if the president says don't wear a mask, you won't wear them. And the president says wear a mask, you wear one. But the other side are sheep. Okay, whatever. At a certain point, though, I say that because it's not about him. It's about them. It's really about everyone else. The people who sacrifice for others. Isn't that sort of the Christianly thing to do? The Christian thing to do? Sacrifice for others? This is about the people who sacrifice for others, people who follow the rules, the people who wear a mask, who don't see their friends and their parents. I haven't seen my mom since January, because she lives in a hot spot. I've seen her on FaceTime, but I would love to hug and kiss my mom, but I can't. I don't. That's a sacrifice for me and for millions of other people. This is for the people who try to teach their kids while they're working from home, or try to feed their kids if they aren't working at all. And behavior like we are seeing tonight, and we'll see on the Trump Super Spreader Tour of America, increases the risk of the spread of the virus. It's all part of Trump's ongoing unreality TV show. He wants us to believe what he says, not what's actually happening. In reality, the virus is getting worse, which is really bad news for the country as we head towards the winter months. The number of cases skyrocketing. We're now averaging about 50,000 new cases per day. Today, 31 states reporting an increase in cases. And the COVID-19 death toll in the U.S. now surpassing 214,000. The danger is real. Florida, where all those people are tonight, seeing a rise in the number of new cases. And yet, a big rally, no social distancing, very few masks. Dr. Anthony Fauci issuing this blunt warning if anyone in the Trump campaign would bother to even listen.
We know that that is asking for trouble when you do that. We've seen that when you have situations of congregate settings where there are a lot of people without masks. The data speak for themselves. It happens.
So while Trump was on his way to Florida, his doctor, Sean Connolly, put out a statement saying that the president has tested negative on consecutive days and that Trump is not infectious to others. Do you believe that? Hard to believe anything with this administration. That's all the information Connolly, or really Trump, is making available to the American public, using a test experts tell us if not meant to detect contagion, if it's not meant to detect contagion that way. Reporters can't dig deeper, okay? Because Dr. Connolly has not taken questions in the past. No doubt at the president's direction. And the president is also claiming that he is immune, which isn't how this whole thing works. None of this is how any of this works. But that doesn't matter to this president. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is taking the unreality show on the road, because the president missed the adoring crowds. Really missed them, apparently.
One thing with me, the nice part, I went through it. Now they say I'm immune. I feel so powerful. I'll walk into that audience. I'll walk in there. I'll kiss everyone in that audience. I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss.
It's so pathetic, though. 214,000 Americans are dead from COVID. This is hardly a matter to joke about. Just doesn't get it. He's not the only one campaigning without a mask either. His son, Eric, addressing Trump supporters in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. No mask in sight. Look at that. Rudy Giuliani addressing a packed group of Trump supporters in Philadelphia without a mask. And they're inside both of those events, by the way, and no social distancing at the event. A key Trump ally in Capitol Hill, Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee, not wearing a mask at the confirmation hearing for Trump's Supreme Court nominee. You'll remember that Lee tested positive for COVID-19 11 days ago. He says he was cleared by his doctor this morning to attend the hearing, but no mask? Seriously? Really? What about taking precautions to protect fellow senators? You know, just in case. Well, not in Trump's Washington. And there is Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who got indignant with reporters who asked him to keep his mask on.
Let me do this. Let me pull this away.
Yep, pull away.
And then that way I can take this off the top. Well, I'm more than 10 feet away. I'm not going to talk to the man.
Who are these people? Really? I'm not going to talk to you because I don't want to wear a mask. I'm just going to run away. Dr. Fauci taking the Trump campaign to task, by the way, for using a clip of him in a campaign ad without his consent and saying they took his words out of context. Here's part of the ad.
President Trump tackled the virus head on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
Here's what Dr. Fauci originally said from an interview. This was back in March.
I'm not the only one. There's a whole group of us that are doing that. It's every single day. So I can't imagine that under any circumstances that anybody could be doing more.
Well, Dr. Fauci sounds like he is pretty done with that kind of flagrant manipulation. Maybe they should use his actual expertise the way that they use it to twist his words. Sounds like he thinks so too.
I think it's really unfortunate and really disappointing that they did that. It's so clear that I'm not a political person. And I have never either directly or indirectly endorsed a political candidate. And to take a completely out of context statement and put it in, which is obviously a political campaign ad, I thought was really very disappointing.
The top expert on infectious disease in this country, and they're taking him out of context in a campaign ad. That's where we are. Here's what's completely clear in this situation. The Trump campaign used Fauci in the ad because he has credibility with voters who are concerned about the deadly virus. President Trump does not, and he knows it, and his campaign knows it. 22 days until the election. Make your vote count. President Trump's rally tonight could be a super spreader event with just 3 weeks to go before the election. Why salvaging his sinking campaign is more important than protecting his supporters and everyone else? Lots to discuss. John Avalon, Caitlin Collins, next.
We had this dream to fly a solar sail spacecraft.
The ocean and the atmosphere are continually connecting everything together.
Humans and technology must work together.
I'm Nikki Shields for CNN Saved by the Future, where the biggest names in science and tech spotlight innovative breakthroughs that could change our future world and even transport us beyond it.
Saved by the Future, Saturday on CNN in association with Hyundai.
About the person who wears it, but even more about the person who doesn't.
Congratulations to CNN for winning 8 News and Documentary Emmy Awards.
There seems to be some confusion, and maybe you can clear up. Where are the US forces in Syria going?
This belongs to a Russian Special Forces unit.
They've got 250 kilos of gold.
And this border post behind us, where there's a sense of panic about what comes next.
Infested, he says, that no human would want to live there. You know who did, Mr. President? I did.
Oysters, we have them for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. The oysters like that, you just put lime, salt, and pepper. Don't miss like that. Very nice. I'm putting oil there. I'm going to fry the oysters. Take it out. Then I use our pounded ingredients and put it in. Put tomato paste, saute it until it looks like paste. Then I put back the oysters. In our cooking, we add a lot of vegetables. Then we boil rice, because here the staple food is rice.
The president's back on the campaign trail tonight in Florida. His first rally after being hospitalized with coronavirus. You never think that Trump just experienced this horrific virus firsthand. as he talked about kissing everyone in the packed, mostly maskless crowd. He also chose a state that reported over 1,500 new cases today. Let's discuss CNN's White House correspondent and woman who works all the time, Caitlin Collins, and our senior political analyst, John Ablon. Good evening. Caitlin, I swear, every time I turn on my TV on CNN, you are there.
I'm going to move into the White House,
I was going to say, are you sleeping like right there where the reporters all lined up in the White House? You have a little cot?
Yeah, I've got a sleeping bag.
So, Caitlin, let's talk about this. Just before the president left for his Florida rally, we got this memo from his physician, Dr. Conley, that says the president tested negative for the coronavirus in consecutive days, right? I mean, it seems a little convenient just before he's back on the campaign trail. What do we know about these negative tests and the president's health?
Yeah, and the White House actually just told my colleague, DJ Judd, who flew with the president on Air Force One, that Dr. Conley actually traveled with the president to this rally in Florida tonight. And so they released this memo as they were on their way to the president's first trip outside Washington since he's tested positive for coronavirus, but also apparently since he tested negative. And so he says in here that the president has tested negative consecutive days using a rapid test, but he doesn't say which days it was that the president tested negative. Was it Sunday and Monday? Was it Saturday and Sunday? Because remember on Friday they said they would let us know when the president had tested negative, and it took them several more days to do that. And I think that's because they know that there is this, questions around whether or not the president should be going out on the campaign trail and doing events if he's not testing negative yet, even though the CDC guidelines do say, that after 10 days of your symptoms, you can be around other people. And I think that's raised questions for the president's other events this week. But Don, it also comes as they have, they're happy to say when the president has tested negative now, but they still will not tell us the last time he tested negative before he was diagnosed with coronavirus. And that's a very important question, but they've refused to tell us the answer to that.
Yeah, that was my next question to you, but you answered it. I was going to say, why can they tell us now, but they won't tell us when the last time he tested negative, but they'll tell us, oh, well, he's negative now. So that whole argument about, the president's privacy and I don't want to go there, they're hiding something. John, so to hold a super spreader rally like this after his own White House was a hot spot, I mean, is this about ego, about desperation in the final weeks of the election, about both, more? How do you see it?
All of the above. Look, we know that Donald Trump needs the rallies as much as his campaign does, just for his own ego. But to your point, this is the super spreader tour. And Donald Trump is getting energy from the crowds. He's getting affirmation that he needs. But typically, he's not taking his supporters' health into consideration, just like he disregarded that of his staff. I mean, you have folks waiting in line, crowding this space, and it looks like, waiting room for the And in contrast, one state, you got folks in line for hours and hours and hours to vote. That contrast that you began the show with between those two states that neighbor each other is so powerful, and it says a lot about where our country is today.
Yeah. Well, and also, listen, we don't know who's in line, who they're going to vote for.
Definitely not.
But much of the counties that we're showing are near Atlanta, right, or close to the city of Atlanta in the neighboring suburbs, which tend to be very liberal.
By Southern standards.
Yeah, by Southern. you put that right. I mean, this is the case. I used to live in Atlanta, so I know from experience, but it is amazing to see these lines and the people out there already. Caitlin, the president tonight said that the country is going to keep on winning and winning and winning. What was the one last time? You're going to be sick of winning or something? More than 214,000 Americans are dead from coronavirus, in part because of his mishandling of the pandemic. That is not winning. Winning. That's not winning at all.
It's interesting to see how the president is trying to take this tack that he had before he got coronavirus, which is addressing it briefly, but then putting it to the side, moving on from it because they know it's not a winning issue for the president. They know voters reject his handling of it, and so they don't want it to be front and center. But Don, something you heard from the president tonight that I've been to a lot of these rallies lately that we really rarely hear from him is sympathy expressed for people who've either gotten coronavirus or they've known someone who has died to it. And you heard him address that tonight. So I do wonder what the conversations are behind the scenes that had led to that decision for the president to address it, even if briefly, during his remarks tonight, because it is not something you've seen him say many times before. Instead, he's relied on the vice president to deliver that message. And, some advisors advisors have seen that as a mistake. They were hoping he'd come out of COVID-19, you know, with this message of understanding and be able to potentially employ that with voters. But instead he comes out and he says he's immune, which of course the science is still out on how that works. He talks about how powerful he feels without mentioning the fact that he had been on steroids recently. And also he talks about making the drug that he got available to everyone, this treatment, when it's not widely available to anyone. It's not even available really to anybody. And so, you know, putting it in context, it makes people think that if they got it, they'll be able to hold a rally a week later, when that's really not necessarily the case for people who cannot get the same level of treatment that he did.
All right, it's good to see both of you. Thank you so much. Caitlin, the ever-ready Caitlin Collins and John Ablon. Good to see you both.
Take care, man.
31 states seeing an uptick in coronavirus cases. 9 states reporting record numbers of hospitalizations. Here we go again. What this next wave of infections means for your state and for the election.
Hello, everyone. I'm CNN meteorologist Tom Sater, and this Weather Watch is in association with Maldives. We'll begin with our view from space. Again, the infrared satellite imagery showing some cloud cover moving out of northern Japan. Sunshine across much of the country and toward the Korean Peninsula. Rain down the bottom of your screen is intense as a tropical storm moves into that area. More in a moment. Notice Beijing, beautiful, mostly sunny, 20. Shanghai, 23. Osaka, 25. A little bit of morning fog for Tokyo. But all eyes on heavy rainfall near Hong Kong into Guangdong province, southwest China, but mainly into northern Vietnam. We have had deadly flooding in central Vietnam into Cambodia. Dozens have been either killed or missing. This is the last thing they need. This tropical storm makes its way toward northern Vietnam, spreading heavy rain, not just in central areas, but mainly to the north. Winds should shift a little bit, giving them a little bit of a break in the days ahead for central and southern Vietnam. Hopefully drying will occur there. But flooding definitely is going to be an issue from Hanoi and areas around that region. More rainfall, still looking at soaking rains, parts of southern Myanmar into parts of Thailand. Bangkok showers and 28 degrees. Ho Chi Minh City still in the rain. Heavy rainfall moving on the east coast of India. Visakhapatnam as a deep area of low pressure moves into that area. Rain to the west as well.
아, 이거 보고 있으면은 해외를 너무 가고 싶어요.
You're taking a flight. Your first in a while. At Qatar Airways,
근데 가봤자 가봤자인데
changing, adapting, perfecting.
돈만 많으면 뭐 그냥 계속 가고 싶은데 회사도 다녀야 되고 차도 바꾸고 싶고 집도 이사도 가고 싶고 한데.
Let's go further together. Qatar Airways.
I'm Nick Watt in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
모르겠다.
back. So the news about COVID-19, not good tonight, really isn't. Cases rising throughout the country, nearly 50,000 new cases on average per day. That's according to data from Johns Hopkins University. So more than half the country is seeing a surge in cases, with 9 states reporting record high COVID-19 hospitalizations on Sunday. That's according to the COVID Tracking Project. The problem is, it's even more serious when you consider where we're headed. We're heading to cold weather months, flu season, and a rising death toll. Let's discuss now. Dr. Peter Hotez, a vaccine scientist and the Dean of Tropical Medicine at the Baylor College of Medicine. By the way, doctor, thank you for joining us. You'll be happy I got my flu shot. I think you know, so.
Well done.
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah, I heard, I had to look the other way. They gave me a lollipop afterwards, but I got it. So listen, as a public health expert, can you please tell me what you think, seeing someone who has recently been infected with the virus, with the coronavirus, and then required the top medical care this country has to offer, that he's back on the trail, a large crowd of people tonight, and it's as if, nothing has happened, nothing has changed.
Well, Don, what's puzzling and what's awful is the tone deafness. I mean, we are, I think, entering a very dark chapter in this epidemic, and maybe one of the darkest times in modern times in the United States public health history. Look, we went from 20,000, we hit a low of 20,000 cases at the end of May. We went up to 65,000 cases, new cases a day in the middle of the summer. Then it came back down to only around 35,000 new cases a day. Now we're climbing up to over 50. So we're already starting at a very high level. And we know that everyone has been predicting a massive surge as we go into the fall and winter. So we could be looking potentially at one of the worst phases yet of our epidemic. And some estimates from the Institute for Health Metrics in Seattle are saying we could double the number of deaths sometime after the inauguration, going from 200,000 to 400,000 deaths. So that's the background. We're entering this very scary time in American life, and then the president joking about it, going into crowds, still not with that culture of masks. That disconnect is just astonishing. I'm very upset by it.
So here's the thing: as things start to change, right? And you've been able to go and have, like I know I have, and other people, to eat outdoors, right? You don't have to be inside of a restaurant. Places people are making. Governments are making exceptions for people to be able to eat outside, and then you can have a certain number of people at your home, blah, blah, blah. So as we move into this new time, right, this colder period, how should people at home be evaluating their risk? And should they think about modifying their behavior as we move into the fall, into the colder weather?
I think we have to plan, and this is what I'm telling my family members, my adult kids and other family members, that get ready for a really tough time this winter. Think about who you want to do your social distancing with as you head into later in November and December and January, and get ready to hunker down. That's point one. Point two, take care of your mental health. The one thing I do say is, look, this terrible period will not go on forever. I do think we're going to be in a much better place by the middle of next year, because vaccines will be available by this time next year. We'll have a significant percentage of the population vaccinated. So it's not all bleak, not a time for despair, but be realistic and recognize that this winter, this November, December, January, February, could be the worst time in our epidemic, and plan accordingly and be smart about it. And take steps to protect your mental health. Make certain that you know a mental health counselor, how to reach them if you need them.
오전 운동은 여기까지만 하겠습니다.
It's okay to feel scared and to be
이제 점심 먹고
and to get depressed. That's a normal reaction to this. But get ready for it. Put all the belts and suspenders in place.